The morning sun rose over Pompeii, a thriving Roman resort town of 20,000 people nestled in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. The city's wealthy citizens had no idea that the mountain looming behind them was actually a volcano. It had been silent for over 800 years, and Romans believed it was just another mountain covered in vineyards and forests. The city's forum buzzed with merchants selling fish sauce, bread, and wine. In the gladiator barracks, fighters prepared for the afternoon games. At the Lupanar brothel, workers started their day. The wealthy relaxed in their elaborate villas decorated with frescoes and mosaics. Everything seemed normal. But 17 years earlier, in 62 AD, a massive earthquake had shaken the city, damaging temples and homes. Many buildings were still under repair. What the Romans didn't know was that the earthquake was a warning sign. Deep beneath Vesuvius, magma had been building pressure for centuries. The mountain was waking up. And on this particular morning, the citizens of Pompeii were living the last peaceful hours of their lives. Small tremors rattled dishes in homes. Most people ignored them. Earthquakes were common in this region. A few noticed something strange. Wells and springs had dried up overnight, and animals were acting strangely, refusing to eat and pacing nervously. But life went on. Market stalls opened, children played in the streets, and bakeries filled the air with the smell of fresh bread. Nobody could imagine what was about to happen. At approximately 1 p.m., Mount Vesuvius exploded with a force 100,000 times more powerful than the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The eruption column shot 20 miles into the sky at a speed of over 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Pliny the Younger, a 17-year-old who witnessed the event from across the Bay of Naples, later described the cloud as shaped like an umbrella pine tree. The explosion was heard hundreds of miles away. A massive column of pumice, ash, and rocks began raining down on Pompeii at a rate of 6 inches per hour. Roof tiles shattered. Buildings groaned under the weight. Panic spread through the streets as thousands of people grabbed their valuables and tried to flee. But the eruption had already blocked the main road to the south. Many citizens ran to the harbor, hoping to escape by sea, but the water had receded, and the boats were useless. Roofs began collapsing under the weight of accumulated volcanic debris. People who stayed inside to shelter were crushed. Those who ran outside were pelted with fist-sized pumice stones falling from the sky. The air became thick with volcanic ash, making it nearly impossible to breathe. By sunset, Pompeii was buried under nearly 10 feet of pumice. Darkness fell over the city hours early, as the volcanic cloud blocked out the sun. The temperature dropped, but the eruption continued through the night. Lightning flashed across the volcanic cloud, creating an apocalyptic scene of thunder, fire, and falling rock. An estimated 2,000 people had died by nightfall, but the worst was yet to come. Just after midnight, Vesuvius changed tactics. Instead of ejecting pumice into the sky, the eruption column collapsed, sending superheated avalanches of gas, ash, and rock racing down the mountain at speeds of over 100 miles per hour. These pyroclastic surges reached temperatures of 570 degrees Fahrenheit and were instantly lethal to anyone in their path. The first surge hit Herculaneum, a neighboring town closer to the volcano. 300 people who had taken shelter in boathouses along the beach died instantly, their skeletons found clutching each other in 1982. In Pompeii, survivors who had lasted through the night of pumice fall now faced their final moments. 6 devastating pyroclastic surges swept over the city between midnight and 8:10 a.m. The superheated gas killed people instantly through thermal shock, cooking their organs and causing their blood to boil. Bodies froze in mid-motion, preserved in the exact positions they died. One man was found covering his face with his hands. A family huddled together in a corner. A pregnant woman lay on her side. A guard dog remained chained to a post, having climbed as high as his leash allowed before suffocating. In the gladiator barracks, fighters died in their cells. At the House of the Golden Bracelet, a woman clutched her jewels as she perished. The ash hardened around their bodies like plaster, capturing every detail of their final moments. By 8 a.m. on August 25th, Pompeii was gone, buried under 20 feet of volcanic material. The eruption finally ended that afternoon. Where a thriving city once stood, there was only a gray wasteland. Vesuvius had erased Pompeii from existence in less than 24 hours. After the eruption, survivors returned to loot whatever they could find, digging through the ash to recover valuables. Some attempted to rebuild on top of the ruins, but eventually, the location of Pompeii was forgotten entirely. Vegetation grew over the burial site and the Roman world moved on. The eruption was recorded by Pliny the Younger in 2 letters to the historian Tacitus, providing the only eyewitness account of the disaster. His uncle, Pliny the Elder, died during the eruption while attempting a rescue mission across the bay. For nearly 2,700 years, Pompeii lay undisturbed beneath layers of hardened ash. The city became a legend, its exact location lost to history. The first accidental rediscovery came in 1599, when architect Domenico Fontana was digging a canal and uncovered ancient walls with inscriptions. But he had no idea he had found Pompeii. Excavation didn't interest him, so he covered it back up and continued his work. It wasn't until 1748 that Spanish military engineer Roque Joaquin de Alcubierre began official excavations at a site near Naples under orders from King Charles VII. He was actually looking for Stabiae, another buried Roman town, but instead uncovered Pompeii. Early excavations were essentially treasure hunts, with workers removing valuable statues, mosaics, and frescoes while destroying archaeological context. One worker discovered a skeleton with coins, and word spread that Pompeii was full of riches. The site became a tourist attraction for wealthy Europeans on the Grand Tour. The first major breakthrough came when Giuseppe Fiorelli was appointed director of excavations in 1863. He developed a revolutionary technique that would change everything we knew about Pompeii and bring its victims back to life. Giuseppe Fiorelli realized that the bodies of Pompeii's victims had decomposed over centuries, leaving hollow cavities in the hardened ash. He developed a technique of pouring plaster into these voids, creating casts that captured the exact form of people at the moment of death. The results were haunting and extraordinarily detailed. The casts revealed clothing patterns, facial expressions, and even the anguish of final moments. One cast shows a man in a fetal position, his hands covering his face. Another captures a dog writhing in agony, the collar still visible around its neck. A cast of a child clutching their mother's dress tells a heartbreaking story without words. These weren't just anonymous victims anymore, they were real people with identities. Modern excavations have uncovered incredible details about daily life in Pompeii. Graffiti on walls reveals everything from political slogans to love poems to crude jokes. One wall reads, "I wonder, O wall, that you have not collapsed under the weight of so many stupid inscriptions." Perfectly preserved loaves of bread still sit in bakery ovens. Wine jars and thermopolia, fast food restaurants, contain residue that reveals ancient Roman recipes. The bodies themselves continue to provide new information. Recent DNA analysis of victims has revealed their diets, diseases, and ethnic backgrounds. CT scans show the devastating effects of the pyroclastic surges, with victims' skulls fractured from internal pressure caused by boiling brains. Today, Pompeii receives over 2.5 million visitors annually. It's one of the most important archaeological sites in the world, offering an unparalleled snapshot of ancient Roman life. New discoveries are still being made. In 2021, archaeologists uncovered a ceremonial chariot in pristine condition. In 2023, they found a home with incredible frescoes depicting Helen of Troy. Mount Vesuvius still looms over the region, and it remains one of the world's most dangerous volcanoes. 3 million people now live in its shadow, and experts say another eruption is inevitable. The mountain last erupted in 1944, and volcanologists monitor it constantly for warning signs. But Pompeii's legacy lives on. A frozen moment that allows us to walk the streets of ancient Rome and see exactly how people lived 2,000 years ago.